Hi, welcome to the Catholic Corner. I'm Monsignor Walter Nolan. I'm on location here at a warehouse in Brick, New Jersey, which has been stocked with many, many large boxes full of supplies for families who have been verified by the Federal Emergency Management Agency by their claim that they need this kind of help with critical items to furnish their home and give back their dignity and the blessedness of a place for them to live. Here in this warehouse, they will receive items, furniture, dishes, beds, towels, food, toiletries, clothing. For many of these families, lost everything, everything. It's called House in a Box because that's what it is. It's actually House in a Box, and I guess I could maybe add to give them a home in their heart. The House in a Box program is a collaboration between the St. Vincent de Paul National Council, which operates this warehouse, and the American Red Cross, which funds the program, and also our Catholic Charities that helps to allow folks to kind of get their dignity back and suggest where they can do that and who can help. My guest today is a marvelous, marvelous man and a good friend, Joe Williams. He's the council president of St. Vincent de Paul Society in our own beautiful diocese, the Diocese of Trenton. Joe's going to tell us about the House in a Box program here in Brick, how it helps those who lost their home in that Superstorm Sandy in October 2012. You know, my dear friends, it seems like a long time ago. For many, it seems like an eternity, but it's bringing their life back, as I like to always say in the beginning, a new home, a new blessing. We'll meet a couple of families that are recipients of the House in the Box. We'll hear a little bit about how they are rebuilding their homes and their lives and their faith. But first, let me talk a little bit to Joe and hear a little bit more about the House in a Box program. Joe, welcome.
Thank you, Monsignor.
Thanks for coming to the Catholic Corner.
It's good to see you.
Well, thanks for having me in your warehouse. We travel around a little bit. How did you discover this House in the Box program and bring it to our beautiful Diocese of Trenton?
Well, it's a program that's known virtually to all Vincentians throughout the United States, Monsignor. Back in, I think it was 1994, the American Red Cross and the National Society collaborated to help people that were affected by, I think it was a major flood in the Midwest. And since that point in time, there have been regular collaborations going forward. You can rest assured that wherever there's a natural disaster that's occurred, that you hear about tornadoes, floodings, the mudslide in Washington State a couple of months ago, very soon after that there'll be a House in a Box program just like the one we're sitting in today.
And how is it funded? I mean, you have a lot of items here that are being given away.
Yeah, I'm fond of saying that the Red Cross pays for it and we run it, but that's not entirely true. Our Red Cross grant ran out September 30, just a week or so ago, and I had been in contact with the people at our national offices because it was clear to me that the need is going to exist far beyond the next 3-6 months. Luckily and happily, I heard at our national meeting a couple of weeks ago that National will fund the next 100 families beyond this. So that'll give us a total eventually of 400 families that we will be able to serve. And God willing, if the need still exists, we hope to go beyond that.
Joe, if I could just maybe have you help us. Lots of folks might not know fully the St. Vincent de Paul Society. It's certainly based on St. Vincent and his charity works. Mm-hmm. Can you just briefly tell us a little bit about the essence of it and what great blessings it brings to folks?
Yes, thank you, Monsignor, for that opportunity. I welcome it. The Society was founded in 1833 by a 20-year-old college student in Paris. He was challenged to prove that the Catholic faith was concerned about the poor and the turmoil going on in Paris at the time. And he and 6 of his friends banded together and formed a society geared to help people in need. Wisely, they decided that the primary focus ought to be the spiritual development of the individuals involved in serving the poor, followed by fellowship and then service to the poor. And that just works so beautifully. Today, the society is in 149 countries. The two latest are Mongolia and Senegal. Here in the United States, we're in just about 2/3 of the dioceses in the country.
And not only 2/3 of the diocese, I would recommend that we're in all the dioceses, and having had a unit itself in the parish that I used to be pastor of, I would absolutely recommend it to everybody because of the gift of bringing the Lord's blessings and love and friendship and help to people who, and it's always being passed on, so to speak. Pass it forward. How many houses in the box do you have to distribute, and who decides who gets one?
Okay, we are funded to handle up to 400 houses in the box. In order for an individual to be qualified, they must have had a FEMA claim in effect. So that immediately has to be primary householders or renters. People with secondary homes, vacation homes, would not be eligible for our program. So all the vetting is done, if you will, by our St. Vincent de Paul conferences, by Catholic Charity caseworkers, and our other collaborative agencies, Salvation Army, United Way, Goodwill, what have you.
So we know that it's being organized properly, and we know it's going to help that's really needed, and to primary help, I guess I would say.
No scammers through this warehouse.
That's a good way to put it, Joe. What's actually in the box? I mean, is it a box that there's stuff put into it, or is that just a?
Well, it's just a clever way to explain that we're going to deliver a dining room table and chairs, but it's going to be in a box, and you're going to have to assemble the chairs and the table. We provide virtually anything that's needed to put a house together again, a home together again. Sofas. Mattresses, box springs, pots and pans, dishes, glasses, knives and forks, kitchen utensils, shower curtains, including the rings that hold the shower curtains up, full comforters and bed linens, literally anything you need to put your house together is available here.
You know, I'm smiling because I don't think this is exactly true, Joe. It's almost like when a couple of years and years ago got married, they kind of got all this stuff together and said, well, here you go. What's involved in your end of it?
Well, I guess just encouraging our conferences throughout the diocese to recruit volunteers for us. It's all a volunteer situation. As you know, we have some gentlemen today that helped load up the families. And just keeping an eye on things. Obviously, we need to report to both the Red Cross and our national where our funds are going and how they're spent and how we're converting the product into the people's homes.
Joe, we're just going to take a little bit of time to to interview a couple of the families and to get their own experience and to see the brightness in their eyes that have come a long way.
Yeah, that's great, Father. I'm sure you're going to enjoy meeting them.
I'm here today with Susan from Keansburg. Susan, can you tell us a little bit about your home, the devastation, and how this storm really affected you?
Yes, Father. My apartment was completely destroyed. The water came in above the stove, the level. My bathroom completely backed up. I literally lost everything. I didn't even have a pair of shoes. And I went from hotel to hotel, as many, and I lost my job because of the storm, and I just recently found employment. So it's been devastating for many of us, and my life is just starting to fall back into place now.
So all this time, you not only your home, but that's like
Yes.
two of the most important things. I mean, family, it's all part of us, but to have lost that must have been very devastating.
It was, and the only thing that kept me going was my faith, literally. I think I would have just given up if I didn't have that.
Isn't it amazing how that faith really, it's just not something that people think is in our heads. It really is in our hearts and our emotions. It's our life.
It truly
And-
is.
and
That's
it really
what got
gives
me
us
through.
life. That's
Yes.
the wonderful thing about it. Can we ask a little bit, Susan? You know, now I know the time, sometimes I don't even like to ask the questions because we're reliving some of the hard days of your life. But when the storm hit and you lost everything, what just happened those first few days?
I was terrified. It felt like the world ended. I mean, the town was completely devastated. My block looked like a bomb dropped on it, and you know, for a moment, I have to admit, I did have a little bit of despair. You know,
Sure.
even, and my neighbors were displaced. It was just like the world ended, and then I kept saying to myself, God will get us through this, and he literally did.
And now God's brought you to the house on the box.
Yes,
Now,
yes, he has.
Today, are you going to be taking some things from the house to
Yes,
the warehouse?
Monsignor, I believe so. Yes.
What do you need?
Oh gosh, FEMA stopped the funding, so I didn't have any of my furniture replaced or anything, and I was approved for a voucher through them, and the funding was stopped. So I've been sleeping on the floor, and I have no furniture or anything. I needed to use the money they gave me towards hotels because you know only so much was covered, and not working. You know, I needed to buy bottled water and you know things just to get through, you know, to survive.
So now are you going to your home now? Has your home been rebuilt or have you
Oh
got a new
no,
place to stay?
I have a new place to stay,
new
and I
place to
just
stay.
found a job, so it's coming together.
So life is good.
Yes, the light came to the end of my
And-
tunnel.
And
Yeah.
you're going to be taking some things out of our warehouse.
Yes,
And you'll have
Monsignor.
a bed.
Yes, I will.
Should we give you the king size bed?
Oh no, 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 no! I'm not greedy. That's smart.
You just want something that's a little cushiony.
Yes.
What else now? Will you be getting some, like dishes? I mean,
They
you
approved
need
me for everything, Monsignor. Yeah, when they saw what I didn't get through
So in other
FEMA and the
words,
devastation, I'm literally getting everything.
After today, you'll have a home,
I'll have an apartment. Yes, with
and you'll be
everything.
able to
Cook.
bring people in, get a hamburger going or a casserole going,
Yes.
and the smile will never go away.
No, I don't think so. I'm grateful.
Tell me just a little bit now, about that feeling of hope and thanksgiving to God. How do you thank Him for the gift that comes to just friends and people who have been good to you?
Yes,
and certainly the folks who run the house in the box.
And I've tried to pay it forward. I really, you know, in small ways. I'm not saying I've changed the world, but I do try to pay it forward. And you know, we had a lady who came through our drive-through at work last week, and I gave her some information, and I said a prayer for her. She came back and thanked me and said it made her day. So in a small way, I'd like to think I'm trying to
Yeah, I'm
repay.
not so sure. I'm not so sure as soon as it's a small way. You know, like those ways are very, very large ways. Tell me, do you think, when something like this happens to us, as long as we let God walk with us and we walk with God, that we somehow become stronger and even better people?
I think so. They say the Lord never gives us more than we can handle, and I didn't believe that when it first happened, to be honest with you.
Sure.
But looking back, I've learned a lot of valuable lessons since the storm. I truly have, and I think that was His way of teaching me, at least.
And we start to realize that if we give enough time, He'll come by,
And He doesn't forget you.
He doesn't forget.
No.
Well, Sue, I'm so happy to say hello to you. I hope that smile of yours just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And we do. We thank everyone who's helped us.
Yes.
And we realize that it is God's kingdom. And most of all, I think I've learned in my own life when disasters happen, we find out that we really are brothers and sisters with the same God we call Father.
That's true. That really is. And I want to thank everyone.
You're a beautiful, beautiful person. God bless you. And I'm so, so glad that things have come to the point where you can smile, let your eyes twinkle, and thank God for all the good in your life. Bless you, Susan.
Thank you, Monsignor. Thank you.
I'm talking to Joe Burke, who's here at the house in the box with me, and we're going to just ask him a little bit about, his escapades with that storm, Sandy. Joe, can you tell me a little about your story?
Yeah, it was kind of like, some crazy times for me and my brother. Some really generous families, took, our wives in, our kids in. Unfortunately, they wouldn't take our dogs. So my brother and I, we stayed behind for the storm. We weathered the storm with the dogs, and, his house was devastated. The first floor of my house, I'm a renter, was devastated, and, it was really quite a traumatic experience.
Can you tell me a little bit about the house in a box here? You're here today to, get a little bit of help and a little bit of assistance.
I tell you what, it couldn't come at a better time. we heard of this, through a friend of a friend. We didn't know about it, and needless to say, we were like deeply touched to find out about this.
It must restore a little bit of hope in your life. The last couple of years had to be really devastating, and trying to put things back together again. And here you are, starting out, and maybe the dream comes true.
You know what? I'm going back to church now.
Don't stop. Listen, sometimes God works in strange ways. We all can get a punch here or there, and we cut up off the floor, and you never know what's going to happen.
Just got to keep on fighting. You're absolutely right, Monsignor.
The impact of Superstorm Sandy, and now all of a sudden you're smiling. You got a lot of joy, and you're ready to roll.
We're ready for the Giants to beat the Cowboys on Sunday.
Well, I hope that's a good thing to say. Okay. So thanks a million. All the best to you, and God bless.
Same to you, Padre.
Jim, I understand that you're the manager of this warehouse. Is that correct?
Yes, Monsignor, it is. I've been managing the warehouse since February. This is actually our second warehouse. First one was in Ocean Township, and now we're here in Brick.
And you do a great job, and it's all voluntary.
It's all volunteers. We have a core group of volunteers that are with us when we need them, but one of the big things that we always need is more volunteers. So anyone that's interested in helping out families, just to see the look on their faces, we'd be glad to have you.
So you're always looking for someone else to have a good, strong back?
No, everything we use mechanical to move everything. The biggest piece of furniture weighs 70 pounds, but there's always two people to move it. We have the dollies to move the sofas. We have trolleys to move the beds, and little push carts to move the lighter.
Jim, was that your professional background, managing a warehouse before you came here to our House on a Box?
Actually, I was a IT project manager, but in one of my previous lives, I did work in a warehouse information systems, so I did have some warehouse background before coming here. See
what God does to us as we're going through life? It's a marvelous thing. Did anything happen that's kind of interesting in this warehouse? You have everything in order. Everything looks pretty much easy to do, but usually there's a funny story somewhere along the line.
Actually, there's nothing funny yet, but we're only been here for 3 or 4 months, so something's bound to happen. The one thing that we did find by being in the other warehouse first is that the flow now in this warehouse works much better. We have all the heavier goods towards the doors and work back into the warehouse to the lighter goods.
How long does it take to load up a truck for a whole house full of furniture?
From the time the family walks in and we review the paperwork with them, it takes a total of 15 minutes or less.
15 minutes or less?
Yes.
I'll hire you.
Okay.
Jim, keep up the good work. Bless you.
Thank
and
you.
Please know that the Lord said, whatever you do for the least of my brothers and sisters, you do for me. So you can tell all your volunteers that when you're carrying out this stuff on your backs, you're doing it for a beautiful Lord that we call Jesus. Bless you.
Thank you, Monsignor.
You know, that storm that everybody calls Superstorm Sandy was, I guess, the perfect storm in the way it hit. And I can't explain exactly what happened, but we all know that it was very, very devastating. It attaches itself to families. We spoke a little bit ago to Joseph Burke, and now we have his brother Dan here. Dan, can you tell me a little bit about how Super Sandy touched you?
Sure. I never really anticipated or expected that kind of damage from a storm. Right after the storm, I was living day to day for about 6 weeks, and I was fortunate enough to have a good friend who let me stay at her house in Newark for 6 weeks, and it was a very trying time, very emotional, just throwing out all your furniture, all your clothes, pictures that meant a lot to you. And it was difficult to find a place to live because there was this shortage of rentals. And so I finally found a place right around Thanksgiving. So I was grateful for that, and then moved in total about 6 times during the last 2 years. And last year I was fortunate enough to have a friend to stay at his house, slept on his floor, for about 3 months. And so right now I'm lucky enough to have a place in Seabright that I'm renting from.
So right now you're in Seabright, but is that going to be your home now in Seabright, or is it Monmouth Beach?
Home is Monmouth Beach. My house is currently getting work done. The foundation work is almost done. So, I'll be lucky if I get back into the house in about another 6 months or so.
That's a
God
long
willing.
time. That's a
Yeah.
long time. This is,
Sure
Sandy was but that was a storm, wasn't it? You weren't allowed back into the property to even to assess anything for a while?
It took about 3 or 4 days before they let people back into the town to start throwing your stuff out. And, the whole experience, for better or worse, you see the best of, what some people have to offer. A lot of friends and family helped out. And then, unfortunately, you see some of the worst in people. And so, but all in total, I guess the whole thing taught me patience.
Do you remember your first look at your house when you finally were allowed back into the area to take a peek at it?
Oh, I sure do. One of the things that news reporters never commented on is just the smell that's in a damaged house like that. So there are about thousands of chemicals, gasoline, from the garage, oil, pesticides, sewage running through your house. And then, to walk into your house and to smell and to see this kind of devastation, it was pretty unnerving.
Dan, I've done a little bit of a program also with some of the people from our diocese who are just marvelous people and have offered so much help. But you're talking about the smell and the different things and the pictures gone. One of them was telling me that one of our schools, when they first went back down there, had a tremendous amount of dead fish in it, from this storm. And I laughed in a little way because guys go out fishing all the time and never catch anything. And all of a sudden they're floating around in the basement of the school.
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit now. Here we are in House in the Box, which is a warehouse that we're here, and you're down to pick up some items that can kind of restore your home.
Words can't even begin to describe how appreciative and grateful I am for this. It's finally nice to catch a break,
What are some of the things that you and your brother are going to be taking out of here in a little short while?
Mattresses, couches, kitchenware, kitchen tables, dressers, things that we all need desperately.
So there's actually nothing that you're going to need really once you leave this warehouse.
That's right. And it couldn't come at a better time because like all the contents in my house, they weren't covered by flood insurance.
I'm a Catholic priest who loves my vocation and loves the good Lord. One of the things that we talk about a lot is the cross and resurrection. And, the cross is part of the deaths of our lives, and certainly Sandy was part of a cross, part of a little death to a lot of people's homes and things. And has this restored your faith, your hope, your love, and to see life again, smiling in your eyes and your face?
It certainly has. I'm all for new beginnings,
When you say new beginnings, I smile because the scripture starts in the beginning, and then John's gospel starts in the beginning. So every day, it's always a new beginning.
Yeah, from the upper left-hand corner of the Bible. Let's go.
There we go. Dan, and thanks to your brother also. You're wonderful people, great families, and we can't imagine people like this in the warehouse, House in a Box, really what it does to our hearts and to our homes, and actually restores our vision of a great, great, beautiful God who walks with us and loves us.
Absolutely. God bless. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. They're exciting people and they're faith-filled people, Joe. Were there people receiving the boxes from any certain towns nearby or areas where the storm did the most damage?
Well, it may surprise you to know, Monsignor, that we've handled families from Staten Island, from Union County. We have families coming in next week from Cape May County. Literally anybody that's been affected by the storm. There's no geographic restriction. As long as they come through one of our...
And that's a marvelous thing because we know there's towns in our own diocese that were hurt badly, but your heart's expanded to anybody who meets the requirements and comes for help.
Absolutely, absolutely.
How many houses in the box programs exist around the country? Many?
About 20 right now.
About 20 right now.
Yep. The recent tornadoes were affected.
So it's not just a storm like Sandy. I mean, it's almost any disaster that comes to us.
Virtually any natural disaster that occurs. Yep.
This is probably a question that I could almost answer myself. How much longer will the program exist?
As long as the Lord gives us, Monsignor.
I knew you'd say something like that. You know?
Yeah,
Because there's always a disaster, right? I mean, something always, there's always a need.
it's been very clear to me from the start that the need is going to exist months, even years from now. There are many families that still haven't begun to rehabilitate their house. So as long as we're able to come up with the funding, we'll be here.
And it's good to know that, because sometimes I think people, Joe, think, well, that storm was a couple of years ago now, or just about a couple of years ago, and gee, everything's fine. Well, it takes a while, doesn't it, to get people back on the right road again, and to give them the foundation to build their life up again.
It does, without question.
You know, it's funny, I said to some of a couple of people we interviewed about their homes, that the scripture starts off in the Old Testament, in the beginning, God created. And then it says later on in John's Gospel, in the beginning, and I said to them, you know, there's always a beginning.
Yeah.
And I hope all of our viewers can see that. I hope all of us faith people can always realize that God promised to walk with us, and he promised that there's always be a beginning, always a new beginning. Is there anything our viewers can do? But what would you be looking for? What kind of help do you need?
Yeah, well, I guess the easiest way that individuals can help, if you know of a Sandy victim that is still trying to put their house together, certainly ask them to reach out to their local St. Vincent de Paul Conference or Catholic Charity Office. There are no restrictions. There's no financial need necessary. As long as they have that FEMA claim number, we're able to help them. The easiest way, I suppose, would be to call us right here at the warehouse.
I would urge all of us to pray well, to be a part of each other's lives, to pay it forward, and to realize that we're all sons and daughters of the great God. For more information about House in the Box Warehouse or how to volunteer, remember Joe's phone number, 732-202-1155. And that's available on Friday and Saturday, but I think you can leave a message during the week if you so have to do that.
Absolutely.
Bless
Thank
you,
you.
God love you, and remember, there's always a new beginning.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.